So the project scope gives us a clear picture of what needs to be done in the project, defining the length and breadth, the boundaries within the project. It also simply means that with a scope, we should be able to know what time is appropriated for each activity or phase of a project. We should be able to know what cost is appropriated. We'll also be able to know who is responsible for the tasks or the activities in the project. So as soon as we'll break down a project, we scope a project, it's easy to know what time is involved for each of the tasks, each of the phases. It's easy for us to know what cost. It's easy for us to know what resources are involved. It gives us a good picture, a better picture of the entire project. So for us to carry out our project very well, effectively and efficiently, we must pay attention to project scope. We must pay attention to ensuring that the scope is well defined. Okay, the scope is well defined to avoid scope creep, that's unwanted expansion or unanticipated expansion of projects, activities, and which may affect the time, the schedule, and the budget. So since we don't want scope creep, we want to pay attention to ensuring that we have the actual scope. When we don't have, or when we don't develop the right scope for the project, the time, the budget, the resources, the risks, every part of the project will be affected. So to ensure that everything is in parallel to each other, we must pay attention to ensuring that the scope is well defined. All right, so let's look at it now. By the end of this section, participants will be able to explain the importance of project scope management, which I've already established, discuss methods for collecting and documenting requirements in order to meet stakeholders' needs and expectations, describe the scope definition process, elaborate on the content of scope statement, and practice the processes for creating a work breakdown structure. By introduction, project scope management includes the processes required to ensure that the project includes all the work required and only the work required to complete the project successfully. Managing the project scope is primarily concerned with defining and controlling what is and is not included in the project. So that explanation or that statement is very explanatory, self-explanatory. Scope focuses on what needs to be done and nothing more. I will want to sound this warning for us project managers. When you go outside of the scope, you're no longer doing the project. When you go outside of the scope of a project, it's no longer that project you're carrying out. You're invariably doing another work. And the stakeholder, the project sponsor, has the right to ask for a refund of his money. Okay, so that's very, very important. Now, let's assume that a project owner gave you a product scope of maybe 4-bedroom flat, and then you now went and a 4-bedroom bungalow. Let me use that word, 4-bedroom bungalow, and then you went and built 2 rooms downstairs and 2 rooms upstairs. Okay, built a story building, 2 rooms down and 2 rooms up, and then told him that that's 4-bedroom bungalow. That is not the scope. That is not the product scope, and the person, the project sponsor or the project owner reserve the right to say, I'm not going to take this, and he requires for a refund and you pay for damages involved. So to ensure that project products are acceptable, we must pay attention to the scope. We must pay attention to the scope. Something happened yesterday, and it was quite a painful one. Now, someone came to the office and was complaining. He did a project. That project was worth about 160 million, and it was a federal government contract. Now, they called him and told him that what he did was not what they asked him to do. and they requested that he refund the money. And the only condition they gave him is that he has to refund the money weekly, 20 million every week, till he completes the money. And someone asked me a question that yesterday, sir. Does it mean that this project now that he did, they are not going to use it? I said, well, I'm not the project owner, and I may not be able to say. But for them to say refund 100%, that means they didn't do what they asked them to do. The project charter, which the scope was defined from, is saying something different from what they did. So the owners reserve the right. So to avoid project redo or asking for refunds, it's good we ensure that scope is well defined, and then scope is well followed. We monitor and we control the scope. As soon as we validate the scope, we monitor and control the activities in the scope to ensure that we follow through. Right. Now, the processes involved in scope management, while this could be lyrical on screen, I want us to understand that each of the things we see here, they are all practical. They are things we should follow through as project management professionals. All right. Like we've been trying to say, after you're done with this course, even if you don't become a consultant immediately, some of us with time will begin to consider consulting projects or general management consulting. These processes are not to be ignored. For anyone you ignore, you have the consequences come back to you. So the first one is to plan scope management, which is the process of creating the scope management plan that documents how the project and the product scope will be defined, validated, and controlled. Now, when we are dealing with scope management, we have two basic concepts. Then we have what we call the project scope, and we have what we call the product scope. Why the product scope is defining what the product should look like, how the product should function, what is expected of the product. The project scope defines the works, the activities that need to be carried out to give the product. I'll repeat this again. In scope management, we have two basic concepts of scope. We have product scope, product, or you could say the scope of the deliverable, and then we have the project scope. Why the product scope is telling you what the product should look like after it is being done. It defines what the product is, how the product should function, the features of the product. That's the product scope. Why the product scope is giving you all of that? The project scope is telling you the activities, the work that need to be done to deliver the product. So when we are planning scope management, we are looking at the creating the plans, documenting the plans that will tell us how the project and the product scope will be defined, how they will be validated, and how they will be controlled. Okay, and then the next process, there will be collecting requirement. We could say a typical example of plan scope management is when we have meetings to have agreements. You have agreement, this is how the product will look like. It is going to be a 3-bedroom flat with 4 toilets and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. You have those meetings to clarify, okay? And then when those plans are developed, like let's assume a building plan, you have a meeting to say, okay, this is exactly what I want, or this is not what I want. And then you keep all those things in check before the whole thing now begins. Okay, then from planning scope, you now go ahead to looking at collecting requirements. Collecting requirements here is strictly what are those things you need to gather to ensure that you meet the stakeholders' expectations, you meet the needs of the stakeholders. So someone says, I need a 4-bedroom flat, and then you've had your plan scope management meeting where you say, okay, this is exactly what the scope is: 4-bedroom flat, 3 toilets, or 4-bedroom flat, 5 toilets, 2 parlors, and all of that. You define all of that, okay, and you had your plan that validates that yes, you can deliver this, and then we've already established how those projects will be controlled. Now, collecting requirement will now be coming back to now looking at the defined scope and then trying to find out what will this one exactly look like. What will that one exactly look like? Where do we get this? Where do we get that? Coming to make sure that the needs of the stakeholder are clearly understood and all of the requirements needed to meet those needs are clearly taken into consideration. Okay, so the collect requirement is the process of determining, documenting, and managing stakeholder needs and requirements to meet project objectives. Okay, then we have the defined scope, which is the process of developing a detailed description of project and product. Detailed description of both the project and the product. Then you have create WBS. WBS simply means the work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure, the process of subdividing project deliverables and project work into smaller and more manageable components. So whenever we hear WBS, it's simply breaking down the project into smaller manageable components. That's all we want to do with WBS. Then you have the validate scope, which is the process of formalizing acceptance of the completed project deliverables. And then the control scope, which is the process of monitoring the status of the project and the status of monitoring the process of monitoring the status of the project and product scope and managing changes to the scope baseline. Then we have the key concept for the scope management. I think I've mentioned that before, which is the product scope and the project scope. The product scope, the features and functions that characterize a product, service, or result, that's product scope. And I've given an example. Let's assume you want to buy a car and you want the car to be self-made for you. And then you go there and tell them you want a car that maybe 6-seater car, cozy, electronic, all of the whole parts are digital. You don't want steering, you want the steering to operate by remote. And you give them all the characteristics of what you want. That is a product scope. With that product scope, the project manager will now sit down to develop the series of work that will be done to deliver that product. Now, those series of work that need to be done to deliver the project is what we are referring to as the project scope. So while the product scope gives us the characteristics of the product, the project scope gives us all the work that need to be done to deliver the project product. Trends and emerging practices in project scope management. Trends and emerging practices for project scope management include all but not limited to a focus on collaborating with business analysis professionals to determine problems and identify business needs, identify and recommend viable solutions for meeting those needs, elicit, document, and manage stakeholder requirements in order to meet business and project objectives, and then facilitate the successful implementation of project, service, or end result of the program or project. So the project, in project scope management, the project manager needs to collaborate with the business professionals, the business analysis professionals, to ensure that they identify the problems and the business need, because whatever project we're doing it to foster business, to keep businesses sustainable, to keep businesses moving. All right. That's why we carry our project. And that's why even in the project we are doing in class now, we say find a need within your business and then develop a project around it so that that project will serve as a solution to that business need that has been identified. Carrying out projects that does not have business need in view will always end up a rejected product or a rejected project. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So before you carry out any project, make sure that you identify the needs. You identify the needs. Okay. So what does that mean? That simply means that we as project managers do not work alone. We are not an independent set of people that have all the knowledge and have all the technical know-how. No, we are just a unit in the whole business value chain. Okay, so we must collaborate with business analysts, business professionals to ensure that whatever thing we think is a project must deliver a business solution. Okay, so for us as project managers, collaborating with business analysts, collaborating with business management professionals is essential to determining problems, identifying business needs. Then secondly, to identify and recommend viable solutions for meeting those needs. That's where our own technical expertise as project managers now come in. Okay, so with the help of a business professional, we are able to identify a problem. But now recommending viable solutions to meet those needs, that's where our own now comes in. Okay, that's where us comes in as project management professionals. Okay, then we have elicit, document, and manage stakeholder requirements in order to meet business and project objectives. Okay, so we also in the scope management, as part of our practice in scope management, we must elicit, document, and manage stakeholder requirements in order to meet business and project objectives. How many of us have experienced this, that some project managers are not good with documenting? They are not good administratively. They are not good administratively. But it's not meant to be so. If there is anyone that data should be more important to in any business firm, it should be the project manager. Okay, but some of us project managers, we don't really pay attention to administrative concerns. So documenting data, we only have data when we have need of it. As soon as we are done with it, documenting it for historical reasons, we'll find it difficult. And it is actually on that basis that the need for the project management office was instituted. So if you check project management, as it were, you have basically two sides. You have the implementation side and you have the administrative side. Okay, that's where the project management office, PMO, serves as the administrative side. Then also we facilitate the successful implementation of the product, service, or end result of the program or project. So this is very, very important. Now, tailoring considerations, like we've said in integration, each of the processes or each project is unique. That simply means the processes involved in each of the project should be tailored to meet the needs of that project. Okay, so even if we have the same product, but in different environment, we should understand that the tailoring considerations might differ. For instance, if I am to do a federal government road contract in maybe Imo State, and then I'm to do another one in Kano State, well, the road construction might be the same, but you also understand that the tailoring considerations will differ. One, the people in Kano and the people in Imo State, they are not the same. So stakeholder engagement, tailoring consideration will differ. Then you also have to put into consideration that the weather in Kano and the weather in Imo State is not the same. So you have to also put tailoring consideration for that. Then you look at the soil texture. The soil in Kano and the soil in Imo State is not the same. So tailoring consideration on managing the land also is also very important. Okay, so irrespective of the fact that yes, it's the same project, but for the fact that it is now applied to two different environments, the EFs will begin to vary. The OPAs need to be tailored to suit each of those projects so that value can be gotten at the end of the day. So because each project is unique, the project manager will need to tailor project scope statement processes. We need to tailor the way project scope management processes are applied. Considerations for tailoring include, but are not limited to, knowledge and requirements management. Does the organization have formal or informal knowledge and requirement management system? What guidelines should the project manager establish for requirements to be reused in the future? Then for validation and control, does the organization have existing formal or informal validation and control related policies, procedures, and guidelines? development approach. Does the organization use agile approaches in managing projects? Is the development approach iterative or incremental? Is a predictive approach used? Will a hybrid approach be used? For stability of requirements, are the areas of the project with unstable requirements? Do unstable requirements necessitate the use of lean, agile, or other adaptive technique until they are stable and well-defined? For governance, does the organization have formal or informal audit and governance policies, procedures, and guidelines? So these are some of the things you need to consider these are some of the formal things you need to consider. Meanwhile, like I said, when you go to the field, there are some other things you need to consider and then tailor your project scope to meet the needs in those environments. Okay. Now, consideration for agile or adaptive environments. In projects with evolving requirements, whenever you hear us of talking about agile or adaptive environments, simply means projects in environments that are constantly changing. Maybe the time is changing, the scope is changing, something is just changing, okay? Maybe customer requirements are changing, the taste is changing, behavior is changing. So whenever we have projects in agile or adaptive environment, we have to also consider those things. And it's also important for us to even have it at the back of our mind now that some of the projects we run currently are almost all in agile environment. Virtually all product development these days are done in agile environment. Virtually all, okay, including construction. Okay, you know, those days construction was like, if you're done, you're done. But I don't think it's the same way this day. Now we talk about smart homes. Okay, before they weren't smart homes, but now we have smart homes. We have smart cities. Okay, all of those things are now beginning to adopt agile approaches. Before now, when we were dealing with technology, we were not talking about 5G. Okay, but now we have 4G, we have 5G. And things are happening faster than we ever imagined. Okay, technologies are working smarter than you can imagine now. And that is also affecting human taste, human behavior. It's affecting the market. Okay, it's affecting the legal system, it's affecting the political system, it's affecting the economic system. Okay. For those of us in Nigeria, how many of us know that 5G has already been adopted in Nigeria? How many of us know? If you know, type 00 in the chat room. How many of us know that 5G, government has approved the use of 5G in Nigeria? If you know, type 00 in the chat room. If you don't know, okay, if you know, type 22. If you don't know, type 00. If you know, type 22. If you don't know, type 00. Okay, so we already know. But you remember when this 5G thing was coming up, everybody was against it, including the House of Rep and House of Senate. They were against it. I was surprised. Some few weeks ago, I was reading on newspaper that the minister of digital economy, minister of digital economy, yeah, something like that, Pantami, he had a meeting with Internet Council for Internet, something. And they were giving approval for 5G. I was like, is this not the same 5G they said was hazardous, was this, was that, it was not going to fly and all of that. And I remember when they were making all those noise, I said, you can only resist technology for a while, but you cannot fight it. One day it will be above you and you have no option than to adopt it. And that, now, how many of us, yes, it is still hazardous, But the most important thing we need to find into consideration is the safety concerns. That's where the safety managers comes to play. Even project managers have their role to play. And that's why those of us in IT that will end up having almost first-hand experience with all these new technologies, we need to develop our knowledge. Okay, when such technologies come up, we need to find safety considerations. Okay, no matter how hazardous 5G might be, I don't think 5G could be acutely hazardous like oil and gas, the hazards associated with oil and gas. I don't think they will be acutely hazardous like the that will face in aviation, okay, or in chemical industries generally. Okay, but those ones have been curbed through safety policies, through safety considerations. So why the 5G is coming up also, we need to pay attention to the safety concerns and begin to work out safety measures. Okay, we begin to work out safety measures. Do we need to improve on our PPEs as individuals? Like you remember when COVID came out, everybody adjusted to certain kinds of PPEs. Okay, you have to wear nose mask. Some of us started wearing gloves as well. Okay, some of us covered our hair, covered our nose and mouth, and then we still wore gloves. Should we by any means shake the person, shake people who have less safety concerns to deal with? So when technologies are coming up, that's the agile environment now, right? That's an agile factor. So when things like this are coming up, we need to pay attention to safety concerns, the safety concerns. All right, the safety concerns. Okay, let me also ask, how many of us have heard of the e-Naira? You heard of the e-Naira? If you heard of the e-Naira, type 22. If you've not heard of the e-Naira, that is powered by central bank. If you've heard of e-Naira, type 22. If you've not heard of e-Naira, type 00. If you've heard of e-Naira, type 22. If you've not heard of it, type 00. Okay. How many of us remember when Nigeria was completely against cryptocurrency? We are completely against cryptocurrency. We are completely against cryptocurrency. And I told people then, because I also teach blockchain and crypto technology when I have leisure. But that's not my area of expertise. Okay, but I love technology, I love changes, I love innovation. So when Nigeria government was busy casting cryptocurrency down, I was busy teaching people cryptocurrency and teaching blockchain. And I told them in that class, I said, Nigeria one day will have their own digital currency. Okay, because you cannot run away from the changes that are coming. Okay, you cannot run away from it. The world cannot be moving forward and you're moving backward. Okay, and then when they were to launch the e-Naira October 1st, which they now delayed, okay, because someone filed a case. One of the challenges now is that someone filed a case against them, against Central Bank, that they already have a company brand called e-Naira, or they have a product called e-Naira. Okay, so that has been a little concern, but I'm sure they will fix it, because the court said the laws of the federation supersede any personal concern, so they will settle the company and move ahead. But however, where I'm going to is that I took time to go through their white paper, and they said, what's the difference between e-Naira and other cryptocurrencies? And what are the similarities? By similarities, the similarities between e-Naira and cryptocurrencies are the same. So what are the difference? The only difference is that the e-Naira is being issued by a government. And I'm like, what is that? Okay, what is that? The next thing we will see, which this administration might not do, because of the face they've given towards cryptocurrency. The next administration, one of the things they will do is that they will open up the doors towards crypto investment. And then they will power up most of these channels that were blocked before. For instance, some companies like Luno were blocked because there was no way they could transact due to the ban on bank transacting with this. Now, by the time banks start using e-Naira, obviously, people can now use e-Naira on platforms like Luno. And since you don't, the way they fashioned e-Naira, you don't need to even, you don't need to pay to a bank for you to have e-Naira. You can transfer wallet to wallet. That means I can actually use my e-Naira app to get e-Naira from my, what they call it now, from my account, my fiat account, and then move my e-Naira to any of my crypto account, and then use it to do what I would do, convert it back to e-Naira, just the way we have USDT, TUSD, we have BUSD, and all of that, different kinds of digital dollars. Okay, so in agile environments like this, we must learn to also be what? Be agile. In agile environment, if Nigeria had not paid attention to being agile in a time like this, in a time where the world is changing so fast, we'll be lost and will not know it. Okay, we'll be lost and will not know it. Okay, so that is very, very funny. All right. Okay. Please, just a moment, I'll be right back. All right. So in projects with evolving requirement, what actually took me back to talking about all those things is that all of those technological advancement came with high-level risks, significant uncertainties that even pastors were preaching against 5G, pastors were preaching against cryptocurrency. It became both politicized, religion came into it, even all manner of perspective towards those technologies. And then I remembered far back, those of us that knew when internet newly came into Nigeria, okay, as of 2000 and the late 1990s, early 2000. If you spoke about internet, it was like you were talking about witchcraft. Okay, if you spoke about internet in the early days of internet, it was like you're talking about witchcraft. How will you stay here and send message to somebody in America? How? But internet has come to stay. Now we talk about the Internet of Things. Okay, why things might have their own uncertainties, there are also better sides to it. As strategic managers, we need to pay attention to the future of certain things. More importantly, the opportunities that come with it, the risks associated with them, and then we can begin to look at the safety considerations we can bring into play so that that could be our own opportunity in time. Okay, in projects with evolving requirements, high risks or significant uncertainty, the scope is often not understood at the beginning of the project, or it evolves during the project, just like cryptocurrency is happening now. What they call it now, 5G is happening now. Nigeria is still here trying to adopt 5G, while other countries have moved ahead with different kinds of high capacity technologies. Okay. Let me ask you, sorry, this is not this is personal opinion anyway. Is there anyone here that believes that cryptocurrency is a scam? If you ever have that notion that cryptocurrency is Ponzi scheme, can you please type 00 in the chat room? You believe that cryptocurrency is Ponzi scheme, is not good. It's not something somebody should invest in. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Alvin. So you believe cryptocurrency is a scam. Okay, now if you believe that cryptocurrency is not a scam, If you, no, I'm not talking about Ponzi schemes. They are two different things. They are two different things. I'm not saying, some people just say cryptocurrency is a scam. I'm not talking about the Ponzi. The cryptocurrency is a different thing. Ponzi schemes are different things. Okay. So if you believe that cryptocurrency is a cryptocurrency on its own, not leave the Ponzi outside now. Cryptocurrency is a scam, type 00. If you believe that cryptocurrency is not a scam, type 11. Let's see. Okay, so you believe cryptocurrency is a scam, 00. Cryptocurrency is not a scam, 11. Okay. Okay, so we have few people that say cryptocurrency is a scam, and then we have few people that say cryptocurrency is not a scam. Okay, so if you believe that forex trading is a scam, type 00. If you believe forex trading is legal, type 11. Forex trading is illegal, type 00. Forex trading is a scam, type 00. Forex trading is legal, type 00. Forex trading is illegal. Okay, so anybody that believes in shareholding, you believe in shares, you believe in forex trading, is the same thing as crypto. They have, when it comes to market characteristics, they have almost the same characteristics, just that the other ones are issued, regulated, while one is not issued and is not regulated. And that's where most countries of the world found problem with cryptocurrency. However, some have done their deep research and deep study, and they've come to realize that cryptocurrency is not a scam. It's not. Sorry about that network fluctuation. Okay, so what is really happening with cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is, one, is a new technology. Two, there are assumed high risks to it, significant uncertainties. The scope, as it were, to some people is not understood. Okay? So it is something people don't want to give a try because it is operating in a highly agile environment. Okay, it is operating in a highly agile environment. So whether we see it as fake or true, it doesn't really change anything. But the only thing I would recommend is that before we begin to call things fake or not, let's do due diligence in learning first. Okay, let's do due diligence in learning. Learn, and learn. Okay, and then some people have actually said that cryptocurrency is the future of money. And some are even saying that a time will come when everybody will own cryptocurrency. Well, I may not be too sure about that. Just like the way. Sorry, I don't really know why my network is fluctuating. So sorry about that. Okay, so I was trying to say that just the way not everyone owns forest. For me personally, there is no way I will expect that in the nearest future, everybody will have a cryptocurrency. Some will still have biased mind about it. Some will still not want to do with it. Some will be very much comfortable with their fiat. Okay, so that's just a technology. I don't think, yes, it is bringing revolution to the economic world, yes, but it cannot completely scrape away some traditional things that are already existing. Okay, like it can't scrape away money. Money will always still be there. Okay, just as it is now, some people still don't use their cards to make payments. Some still don't buy things online. No matter what you preach to them, they will tell you they will steal their money. Okay, so that is just that. So agile methods deliberately spend less time trying to define and agree on scope in the early stage of the project and spend more time establishing the process for its ongoing discovery and refinement. Many environments with emerging requirements find that there is often a gap between real business requirements and the business requirements that were originally stated. And I think this is where we as project managers need to come in. The difference, the gap between the real business requirement and the business requirements that were originally stated. Okay. If you are into IT and you are into blockchain or crypto technology, I think this is the time to start building technologies that in-era can function on or function with. Okay, this is the time, because now that we're in the early stages, more of the opportunities will come now. A time will come that in your app, your banking app, you have in-era, you have opportunity to use it to buy whatever thing you want to buy. Okay, so for those of us that are building DApp now, dApps, this is the best time to build dApps. Okay, that's for those of us in technology, in IT. Okay, so that we will be able to harness this gap that already exists. CBN was saying that, I think was yesterday I was reading that on an online newspaper, that they already have $500 million investment in in-era, $500 investment in in-era. $500 million rather, $500 million in in-era. That's why that may look small, but that's huge. Okay, that's billions of naira we are talking about there. Okay, all right. Therefore, agile methods purposefully build and review prototypes and release versions in order to refine the requirement. They will have, as a result, scope is defined and redefined through the scope, throughout the project rather. In agile approaches, the requirements constitute the backlog. So you have a predetermined scope, and then as you keep on with the project, the scope keep changing, or we keep adjusting and refining the scope just to meet up. Not that the scope is changing, we only keep adjusting, keep redefining the scope to meet up with the objectives. Now, before I proceed with the processes involved in scope management, do we have any question? Do we have any contribution? Do we have any issue of concern? Is there anything I say that you think is false? You correct me, and then we'll move on. Okay, any issue, any concern? Is there any example I'm using that you think shouldn't be used? Maybe it's conflicting with your belief. We'll just delete that example now and continue. Or had anybody here done a project that adopted an agile approach? You had an initial scope, but the more the project went through, you kept refining the scope just to achieve the main objective of the project. Is there anyone here who have done such project before? You had a project, but as the project continued, you find out that the scope kept adjusting. Maybe we said work for 2 hours, then you now work for 15 minutes. You just adjusted the scope. So if you have, can you tell us what your experience was like? Did it affect your budget? Did it affect your cost? Did it affect your time? Did it affect your resource usage? Let us know. And how were you able to manage such agile conditions? Anyone like that? This one is not true. Okay, from the chat room, Architect Adeb said yes. It affected all resources. It affected all resources involved. Okay. Thank you. But why we could be looking at projects, agile environments as things that could be far away from us, but virtually every day we have we are faced with agile situations. Yes, we are faced with agile situations. We are faced with agile situations that will involve us taking a rethink on the initial decisions we took. Okay, just to ensure that the objective of that particular event or that particular situation is achieved. Okay. Okay, let's proceed. Now, quickly, let's look at the processes involved in project scope management. But before I proceed, can I have someone give us the benefits? Let's go back to our objectives. Objective number one, we'll be able to discuss the importance of project scope management. So can someone please help us? What are the importance of project scope management? What are the importance of project scope management? You can use the chat room if you wish. You can raise your hand if you wish, but we have to get what are the importance of project scope management? Importance of project scope management. Before we move on to the processes. Okay, so someone says it helps in better budgeting. Thank you. It helps in budgeting. Okay, another person says for proper resource management. Another one says for planning. Okay. Okay. I will only take one more, then I will come to the one that we've already said. Okay, for someone said project scope management reduces, oh, I love this, it reduces rework. Effective project scope management reduces, if not eliminates, rework, and it helps in human resource management. Okay, another one says gives clear direction. I love this. This is good. It gives clear direction of where we are going, so that if we are no longer going there, we can stop. But let me come back to the first statement. He said it helps in better budgeting, which is very key. Is also, maybe I would say with the word budgeting, it has captured other things like resource management, human resource management, all of them are under budgeting. Now, can someone create a scenario between budget and scope? Have you had a case where scope affected your budget in any project at all? Had anyone here had a case where budget, scope affected your budget? You had a case where scope that was not well defined affected your budget. Architect Ademi said many times, okay, give us an example, one that happened to you. And then while he's trying to come up with that, can someone help us with the difference between product scope and project scope? Can someone help us with the difference between project scope and product scope? Can someone help us with the difference between product scope and project scope? Product scope and project scope. Product scope and project scope. Can someone help us, please? What's the difference between the two? What's the difference between project scope and product scope? What's the difference between product scope and project scope? What's the difference between project scope and product scope? I hope we're still together. Okay. It happened on a renovation project. It started out as just a mere renovation of roof by increasing the height. Okay. And then at the end of the day, you ended up building a new house. Okay. Can you imagine? Okay. And that obviously will affect the budget. Okay, so can someone help us? What's the difference between project scope and product scope? Thank you so much, Architect Ademi, for that experience you shared. Please, what's the difference between product scope and project scope? Can we make it faster so that we can proceed? What's the difference between product scope and project scope? Product scope and project scope. Okay, from Mr. Lani, you said product scope is the result, while project scope is the activities lined up for the project. Okay. From Architect Adem, you say project scope is the scope of the project, while product scope okay, project scope is the scope of the project, while product scope is the scope of the product. Okay, well, that is wonderful. User said product scope relates to the feature of the product, while project scope is the activities that result to the outcome of the product. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so please let's have this at the back of our mind. Let me not just be facilitating, thinking I'm driving, understanding. Project scope, if you need to write that down now, please write it down. Project scope defines all the activities, all the work that need to be done. Okay. All the work that need to be done to get a product out of the project. Why the product scope are the features of the product, the features of the product from the project. Okay, so product scope, product, the characteristics of the product from the project. Project scope, the activities that need to be done to get the project out, or to get the project product out. Is there any confusion on this? Is there any confusion on this? Is there any confusion on this? Okay, someone is saying yes. Product scope, features of the product. Features of the product. Project scope, the activities that need to be carried out to get the product out. I gave an example before. I said, for instance, let's say someone say, construct for me 3-bedroom flat. 3-bedroom flat with 4 restrooms, 2 parlors, 2 kitchens, and all of that. That is product scope, product. The project scope will be all of those activities that will be required to now deliver the 3-bedroom flat with 4 restrooms, with 2 parlors, and all of that. Do you get the difference now? The product scope gives you the characteristics of the product, while the project scope gives you the activities that need to be done to get the product out. Any confusion on that? Product scope, characteristics of the project deliverable. Characteristics of the expected project deliverable. Project scope, series of activities that need to be done to achieve the project deliverable. Okay. All right. Any other confusion? Can I proceed? Please, if I can proceed, kindly type 11 in the chat room. If I can proceed, kindly type 11 in the chat room. If I can proceed, kindly type 11 in the chat room. All right, thank you. So let's look at the processes involved in project scope management. The processes involved in project scope management. The first one is planned scope management. So here we are going to be looking at the inputs, the tools and techniques, the expected output for each of these sections. Number one, plan scope management, which is the process of creating a scope management plan that documents how the project and product scope will be defined, validated, and controlled. The key benefit of this process is that it provides guidance and direction on how scope will be managed throughout the project. It provides guidance and direction on how scope will be managed throughout the project. This process is performed once or at predefined points in the project. It performed once or at predefined times in the project. So from here, we've already seen the benefit of plan scope management. It gives us the guidance and direction on how scope will be managed. That means is a blueprint document. Okay. Now on the inputs, we have the project charter, we have the project management plan, and from the project management plan, we'll be needing the quality management plan. We need the project lifecycle description. We need the development approach. And then we need the enterprise environmental factors, and we need the organizational process assets. On the tools and technique, we need expert judgment, and then we need data analysis. Data analysis tools like the alternative analysis, and then we need meetings as part of the tools and technique. On the output, we have the scope management plan, and we have the requirements management plan. Someone's hand is up. User, your hand is up. Kindly unmute and let's hear what you have to say. User. Hello, user. Sorry, sir, we can't hear you. Kindly put your information in the chat room. We'll pick it up from there. Please kindly put your information in the chat room. We can hear your network is breaking. Okay. The scope management plan is a component of the project or program management plan that describes how the scope will be defined, developed, monitored, controlled, and validated. The development of the scope management plan and the detailing of the project scope begin with the analysis of information contained in the project charter, the latest approved subsidiary plans of the project management plan, historical information contained in the organizational process assets, and any other relevant enterprise environmental factors. So we are just explaining this chart here. So we said it starts with analysis of the project charter and any other subsidiary plans of the project management plan. So we see the subsidiary plans there, and then any other relevant organizational process asset and enterprise environmental factors. Okay. Now the second process in project scope management is the collecting of requirements. And collecting requirements is essentially to ensure that the stakeholders' needs are met. So collecting requirements is the process of determining, documenting, and managing stakeholder needs and requirements to meet objectives. The key benefit of this process is that it provides the basis for defining the product scope and project scope. This process is performed once or at defined points in the project. So while collecting requirements, you will exactly know what the project manager, what the project owner is saying. Then you, the project manager, can also define the process that will deliver what the person says. Okay. Now, can we quickly have maybe something like a role play? Okay. Can I get two people? One person will happen to be a builder or civil person or an architect. Why the other person will just be a lay person that just want to build a house. So let the lay person tell the builder what he wants, and then let the builder tell us what he needs to build. Do you get what I'm trying to say? We just need two hands up. One person should act as a builder or as an architect or as a civil person. Okay. Then let the other person act as a lay client, like the governor said. He doesn't know anything about building, but he wants to build. So we have two people, okay. So we have the layman and we have the builder. So please, let's use the chat room first before we unmute. Class governor, which one are you? Are you the lay client or are you the builder? And then I can tell you, which one are you? If all of you are builders or client, okay, you are lay client. So I can tell you, which one are you? No, since the two of you are client, we want one client and one builder, or one person in the building industry. So can we get another hand up? So I will bring Akintayo, since he's the second client, we'll bring his hand down for now. Is there any person here who is into building, so that someone will tell you what he wants, and then let you, being the builder, tell the person the activities that will be involved? We have one hand up. Can we have another person's hand up? Anybody taking the challenge, you raise up his hand and tell us which one is taking. We already have clients, so what we want now is builder or someone in that. So have architect Ademi. So architect, which one are you? Are you the builder now, or are you reserving your profession, or are you becoming a client? Let's know. Architect, we're waiting for you in the chat room. Which one are you? Okay, you are the architect. Okay. So Ademi Caleb will tell him what he wants in a house, and then you will tell him the activities that will be involved. So can we do this in less than 2 minutes? So let Ademi Caleb tell you what he wants in a house, and then you tell him what he needs, the activities that are required to get what he wants. So let's start. Ademi Caleb, over to you. Class governor, are you there? Hello, sir. We are not hearing. I'm not hearing you. Am I the only one not hearing you?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay, please go ahead.
So now, engineer DME, this is what I want. Or architect DME. Yes, all the same. Yeah, I want a full duplex, the 4-bedroom duplex. I want 3 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom downstairs, and then a parlor. Upstairs, I'll have 1 parlor. Downstairs, I'll have 1 parlor. All rooms and suites. And then behind it, I would love a 2-bedroom, 1 bedroom, 2 1-bedroom boys' quarter apartments. That means we'll have 2 1 bedroom in 2 units downstairs. And then I would love to have a small hut sit out hut outside, where I can entertain visitors. And then I would like to have a security room attached to the gate side, conducive room that is big enough to occupy a security man and his luggages as he will be staying in. I like the floors of the compound to be interlock tile. Yeah, the fence around inside would have flowers, outside would have flowers also. Well, give me more. Of course, there will be dining room attached to the downstairs parlor, the duplex. So let me know how it will go.
Okay, thank you.
Don't mind me, I've always wanted a simple thing. You know, that's just simple. Let me just
Architect Adem, over to you.
Hello, is that all?
Well, I would love more, but I think you can give me a better way to structure it.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes. We can hear you. Hello? Engineer DME? Uh-oh. I think he's muted.
Okay.
Hello, can you?
I think his network logged him out. His network logged him out.
It's not his
okay.
network.
For anyone in class who heard what class governor said, can anyone try? Like, imagine you are the builder now. What are the things you think you will do to help him get this house out? Can anyone help? We are not saying you're a builder, you're only pretending to be a builder or pretending to be an architect or a civil person. First, we'll ask him the plots of land available. Okay, Akinta say he will ask you of the plot of land available. Okay. Architect Adem is coming back. So, Architect Adem, are you back now?
Yeah, the network is bad.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, fine. Before I go ahead, let me just be clear about what the facilitator wanted. To tell the client the steps towards getting his desired scope, right?
That's right.
Okay, fine. Based on what I could hear the class governor say, I think please, class governor, confirm what are your scope. That means you want a duplex. That's a semi-detached or a fully detached duplex with, is that right?
Yes, you're right.
A fully
detached duplex, yes.
Okay, with the attendant, 3 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom downstairs, 2 floors, all rooms and suites. Then
of course.
The ancillary building, you said you wanted what? That's the building behind, if I got
behind, 1 bedroom, 2 units of 1 bedroom boys' quarters.
Okay, that would
be
a bungalow building.
I will know it as a boys' quarter, of course. You call it.
Then you wanted a gatehouse, which is livable.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, fine. Now, the process towards this, the first thing you would do is, number one, you would commission a professional or professionals, step one. Usually, in the olden days, the thing was the architect was the master builder and the project manager. But now with project management on board, some clients would either commission a project manager who would assemble the technical team, or the architect who would also act as the project manager and get the other professionals. That's step one. Step two, the architect will consult with you, having you giving him a letter of commission and paid some initial fees for sketch drawings. So when the period of sketch drawings are over and signed off by you based upon provision of relevant documents like the site plan and your list of requirements. So the architect will I will drop a sketch trying to reflect what you want, both plan-wise and aesthetically wise. Then I will consult with the relevant authorities to know their planning rules in that area. Third step is when the sketches are agreeable to both parties, the architect and you, the client. I now proceed to working drawings, whereby I call on board the structural engineer, the mechanical and services engineers.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Just for the sake of time, I just wanted us to exemplify this collect requirements. Thank you so much, Architect Ademi and Governor Ademi, for playing that role. Now, if you take a look, you find out that one person gave the product scope, and then another person is giving the project scope. Not only that is giving the project scope, is now giving the requirements involved in each of the steps. By the time you will be done, it is now left for the project owner, which is the person that gave the product scope, to say, okay, oh, I think I like it, I will get into it. Or he will ask, okay, why don't you modify this or modify that? Or don't you think it's too much, or don't you think it's too small, and all of that. Okay, so all of these things are part of the things we do in collecting requirements. Okay, as simple as it is. And there is something that the builder did, the architect did. If he had missed that step, would have missed everything out. When he came on board, he said, I want to confirm that this is what you want, right? That's trying to validate that, yes, this thing you're giving me is exactly what you want. That is primary to collecting of scope or collecting of requirement. That is primary, ensuring that you understand the need of the project owner. Okay, because some of us, some people just hear, and you think they actually heard. What they just did was assume. They assume they heard you, and they just go out there and start doing whatsoever thing they think. And by the time the project owner comes back, say, but this is not what we agreed on. And there is another thing he said, which is very, very important. He said, after giving me the letter of commissioning, whether you call it letter of commissioning or charter, it is the same thing. After giving me the project charter, after you've authorized me, then I will. That's talking about documentations. After we might have documented our level of agreement or level of relationship, we can then go further to bring in more information that will give us more understanding of what we want. So these are some basic steps in collecting requirements. Okay, basic steps. You must confirm. Remember, we said it is the process of documenting, determining and documenting stakeholders' needs and requirements. It is not a time to implement. It's just the time to make sure that both of you understand each other and know exactly what you need. Okay, that is very, 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 very important. Okay, Governor, your hand is up. Let's hear you for 30 seconds.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Yes,
we can hear you.
Please, I have an observation. I have a question that is very important to me.
Okay, go ahead.
And I don't know if I'm breaking you off what you want to say. Okay, so if you can still hear me, I have a project going on, software development for a very big hotel and a resort. I've done. So we started on a personal relationship, on a personal ground, someone who works there, and he's in fact a friend. And now we've started going back and forth, presentations of the step of the project, the software that is required to run the hotel. Now, I am thinking we want to get the requirement well first before we now go straight into requesting for a document for them, engaging us in a proper way with the project and giving us a charter. Is it okay, or are we doing anything wrong? I want to know, because we've been relating on a personal level, but we've never received any document from them. We want to get what they need exactly to build prototypes to the extent of understanding the project very well, knowing that, okay, we are on the right path and that we can deliver exactly what they want. Is it now beneficial after understanding and going on the right path where the development is on, that we now request for a document that will now reconfirm that will have their requirements in it and a charter attached to it, if it is going to be on the charter still, and then that we can also, okay, this is what have been used to engage us. Are we making any mistake here? We've not received any document from them, but we've had like 2 presentations with them. The first time we went there, we went to see what they have, what it looks like. We discussed about the things they will require. Then the second time we went there on a presentation, that is the preliminary assignment, the preliminary work we've done to show them just the interface and what it will look like. We got more requirements from them, we discussed. The next time we want to go would have been today even. But I said no, because I have a class. If we can shift it, it will give us more time to do more things, so we don't rush it. Is there any mistake we're making? We've not received any document from them. We just want to get exactly what they want, start designing on the path, and then begin to request for when we are sure that, okay, this is what they want. I want to know, please. Thank you.
All right. So I have architect Ademi's hand up, so maybe he wants to contribute to that before I talk about it. Please, architect Ademi, you can unmute. Let's hear from you.
Dr. Banito, I want to help you by answering that question.
Okay.
Now, class governor, you made the first mistake by not having a letter of commission. The first mistake in anything project, especially construction or anything associated, is not having a letter of commission, which states the scope of work, the terms and references, and what all that we have been learning. So right now, most mistakes, even I have made such mistakes before, whereby because you got the job through a friend, or maybe the owner is a friend, you don't want to be formal. I have learned now to be formal with everybody, even family members. So I think maybe I've condensed the answer for you. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, if Dr. Banito, if I may, please, let me mention something here. Can I go ahead, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, architect Ademi, I think one thing I've learned, even in this class, is projects and deliverables and the methods are slightly different from one another, from each other. Now, if you want to go with construction, you would have to get equipment, get this, you have to get workers, you have to, there are physical equipment, there are physical requirements that you must get that will cost you huge sum of money. So of course, before you start, that may be needed. But here we have a software.
Sorry, let me just cut in here so that we can save time. Okay, what architect Ademi was trying to say is that, number one, business is business. And as project managers, if there's anybody that need to understand that more than any other profession, are those of us in the project management field. Business must be treated as business. And then he said, you needed to have taken a letter of commission, maybe in their own field, that's what they call it. In other different organizations, they call it different things. It could be letter of interest. It could be letter of request. It could be, there must be something formal that is trying to initiate the operation. That's where he's trying to go. That will tell you the scope of what is involved within that premise. If you're doing a letter of request, okay, let's say you're building an app for this company. I say, okay, so we are requesting that you come and make a presentation to us or so app. Well, you might not be expecting any money from them, but automatically they are giving you a letter to say, we want you to come and show us what you can do. That is a good way to go. You can accept the letter or you can reject the letter. You can accept the letter by telling them, okay, for presentation of this, presentation is free, but you may have to take care of our feeding and transport. Of course, it's done in most organizations. Okay, for the meeting allowance, some call it meeting allowance. So you can express that, maybe not in figures. Thank you so much for your letter of request. We will be there, but we will appreciate if you will factor in meeting allowance or factor in other financial contingencies that will be incurred. You have not said any figure, but you already have in mind. Okay, so that is very, very important. Formalizing businesses, is irrespective of who is involved, is very, very important. Now, the question of when do they get to issue you charter? Charter is only issued after the final scope of the project has been agreed on. That's when they now issue you charter. You made your presentation. They say, oh, your presentation was good. Why don't you put this? Why don't you put that? And then submit your document, your technical document. Then you made all those corrections that they want and then submitted your technical document. They read through it and they feel like, oh, this is what we want. Is after they have accepted the proposed work that they now give you a charter with the financial inclusion coming to place. But if there was no letter of request or letter of intent from the beginning, it is important that you know your scope, you know where you are to stop, because some organizations, you end up building prototype. If you've not built any prototype, before you go into building any prototype, there must have been some level of commitment before you start building prototype. In fact, building prototype should be part of the terms of reference in the charter. Now, so you have made your presentation, they accepted it, and then I say, go ahead and build prototype. That means they are committing you. So they should pay for, or they should give you a document that now formally accepts you in the process of that app development. And remember, this is an agile project. It will remain iterative till finally they accept the final product. The scope might be known, but the final product with the scope that will give the activities that will give the final product will keep getting redefined, readjusted till the final product is adjusted. We might have started without any formal approach, but as we proceed, the next critical phase, the next milestone, let there be some form of formalization so that you don't go and finish a project and then they will tell you, oh, we are sorry, this is not what we wanted. Okay, I don't know whether what I said made sense to you. Architect Adeyemi,
thank you very much. I thank Architect Adeyemi. I thank who again? Akintayo Tunde for this. In fact, I have learned a lot. This has helped me with the messages you sent to me privately on this. In fact, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll do something. I'll really do something. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, from Akinta in the chat room, say you have to be very careful when it comes to the development of software for a client. You have to state the term before this client. If there is going to be an addition to the software after the project is delivered, will it be on your expense or the expense of the client? Okay, these are some of the trends you now need to consider, tailoring considerations. Then I said the training of those that will use the software after development, will it be free? Or will the cost come with the cost of software?
No sound. Am I the only one? No sound. Am I the...
Oh, you're not hearing me?
I can hear you.
Okay, but you're saying no sound. Okay, Architect Adem, your hand is up. Please, kindly go ahead.
You see, sir, I think, like you said, this class is good because we exchange ideas.
Yeah, sure.
We exchange experiences and all that. The first mistake I made was thinking just to gather clients, because I've done a large number of projects in telecoms, the hotel industry, residential and all that. When you do that, when you are not formal with people, they take advantage of you. And meanwhile, you're incurring costs. Because in the process of developing a software, you are paying electricity, you are brainstorming with workers, you are buying them mineral. You may think this is not money, but if you are losing, if you are paying, if you are buying mineral, maybe you have a convoke and you guys are developing the software, discussing, buying generator fuel, calling, all these things. It is from your pocket, this thing is coming from, and you are trying to deliver a service. But most clients will say, let me see what you have come up with first, and they don't pay for it. So I've learned the hard way that any client that consults me, anything you are doing, you are giving them information, just as we are paying Dr. Banito for this training. It's not free.
No sound again, or is it me again? I need to hear this thing.
I think so. We are hearing him.
So it's not free. For all we know, Dr. Banito could easily have done this training free. But at least a cost is involved, and a cost must be borne for the training or for whatever service one is rendering, whether product, service, or advice. For God's sake, we even go for trainings where people give us John Maxwell's advice, and we pay heavily for it. Yeah. So I've learned that anything done now has a cost and must be paid for. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Architect Ademi, for that. Thank you for sharing your experience. Okay, I wanted to say something before I forgot. Please, for those of us that are into service, and to be more specific, IT, there is what we call interest form. Interest form. Not all clients may have to sit down to start writing letter and be giving you, but you as an organization or as a person, you can have your interest form. Okay. When someone walks up to you or walks to your office and say, okay, I want you people to develop so for me, the most frequent way or the easiest way to just get the information with the person's signature. In some cases, we even ask the person to put a passport, is an interest form. The person puts his name, his contacts, tells you everything he wants, gives you the description of what he wants, okay, and then signs on it, okay. And if you want a schedule of meeting and all of that, the person chooses a date on the form. So that's like part of that commission. The person is entering into a relationship with your company. Okay, to say this. Now, with that, you can now tell the person, you can establish a communication for us to come and do this presentation. Architect, it's like class governor is not hearing us. Please, if you can hear me loud and clear, type 1 in the chat room.
I can hear you now. It's in for a moment and return. Maybe
I think that could be your network.
I really want to hear every bit of it. I need to hear it.
So others are hearing, I think it's your network. Or maybe you could turn off your video just to make sure that the network is stronger. You could turn off your video just to make sure the network is stronger. Okay, so with that letter of interest, you can then share with the person similar work that have been done, how you did it and all of that. If the person now wants presentation in his company, you have to let the person know the cost of coming to do the presentation and all of that. Okay, so please, those of us in service, even, okay, let's be more practical. Although in IIPM, we don't do registration form, we just intentionally removed it. But if you take to most professional bodies, when you go there and say you want to take a class, the first thing they will give you is an expression form, or what they call registration form, is it not? That is still a good example of a commitment letter. is as powerful as the person that gave a letter of commissioning. Okay, you gave your details, gave all the information, the description of what you want, the scope, and then, your product scope, expected product scope. Like now you say you want to come and do project management, associate project management or lead project management, right? You paid for the registration form. And then the company comes and gives you more information, and then they now tell you this after you might have agreed, they now tell you acceptance fee. Okay, for those of us in the university, or even some institutes too, they tell you acceptance form, acceptance. For those of us that are into some of these public organization or public institutes, you may understand me better. After you might have paid your registration fee, you submit all the necessary documents, then you now come and pay acceptance fee. That is not the main fee. Then you now pay for your training fee, then you pay for your induction fee, then you pay for your license. All of these are broken down in phases. However, where I'm going to is that we can adopt simplified approaches to get more commitment. The person walks into your, develop an interest form or whatever thing you want to call it in your own. Some in the bank, they say KYC, know your customer, right? The bank, they give you KYC, know your customer. Know your customer is the same thing as the expression of interest. You came and there you wrote your name, give all the details, this is what I want. Okay. Do we have any other issue of concern? We are still dealing with collecting of requirement. As simple as that is, if we don't do it right, my people will say you will just wash your hand very well and then break palm kernel for the hen. The hen will be eating the palm kernel. Meanwhile, your energy is wasted. Okay. So importantly, collecting requirements is key in the scope management process. Do I have any other question here? I think with some of the experiences that have been shared, the advices that have been given, we are better off. But for those of us in service, in fact, whether you are in service or not, create your own form, your own letter of commissioning. If the person is coming to you, give the person that form. If it is a contract, even the contract, there are some of the contract that the people come to you, give them that form. Let them give you, before they now give you your award letter, the mobilization letter. That's very, very important. Okay, can I move forward? Please, if I can move forward, help me type 1 in the chat room. If there is any other issue of concern here, let me know so that we can clarify it. But I think we have done justice here already. I think we have done justice here already. Okay, thank you. And thank you so much to all of the people that contributed to helping understand this very well. Now, in the inputs for collecting a requirement, we have the project charter. We have the project management plan, where we have the scope management plan, the requirement management plan, the stakeholder management plan. Then we have the project documents, assumptions log, lessons learned register, stakeholder register. And then we have number 4, business documents, where we'll be using the business case. Then we have number 5, agreements. We have enterprise environmental factors and operational process assets. Now, on the tools and techniques, we have expert judgment, we have data gathering. Now, Architect Ademi said something. They said those meetings you have with your staff, you may think you're not incurring cost, but the truth is that you're incurring cost. You buy refreshment for them. The place they are doing the brainstorming is not for free. You paid rent there. You're using electricity to do that. Maybe you bought data to search on some things. That brainstorming session is not free. While it is a tool and technique that you're using to gather and refine the scope, that does not mean it's free. That it is within does not mean that it is not cost involving. And then you also have interviews, just like what you said now. They called you to come and make presentation, ask you questions and all of that. The cost of that interview is not also free. Whether the interview or presentation is within your company or without your company, it is not for free. Okay, it is not for free. Then you have the focus groups. While Architect Ademi was trying to give a breakdown of what the architects need to give the owner of the house. He said, you have to get the other professionals, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and all of that. Those are the focus groups that you want to work with on a certain project. Okay. And then you have your questionnaires and surveys. You also have your benchmarking. Benchmarking is very, very important in scope management. Benchmarking is very, very important. Benchmarking, having a standard that you cannot go below. Okay, having a standard that you cannot go below. That is, you have a benchmark, a standard that you operate. Okay, you have a standard that you operate. So benchmarking, is it only for quality? No, but benchmarking is an essential tool to determine quality. Take, for instance, in the software you're developing now, maybe just like Akinta you mentioned, after the development of the software, you train the staff. Maybe you're taking training as a benchmark, training of maybe 10 staff as a benchmark to be able to help train the others. And then they now say, oh, why don't you train one person? And right from your own perspective, you know that, okay, the cost that you have accrued towards that side that you want to recover, you need to train at least 10 persons. You may have to say, okay, for the reasons best known to me on this and that and that and that, we have to train 10 people. That is your benchmark. Or you say, okay, my benchmark is 5. Maybe the project is supposed to take you 15 days and they are telling you to do it one day. You tell them, based on this scope, that requirement and this requirement, we have scheduled for minimum of 15 days to do this project. If we do it less than 15 days, these are the expected consequences. Okay, so for every project, there should be some levels of benchmark. Some levels of benchmark. All right. Okay. Then we have the data analysis. All data gathered must be analyzed. Okay. All data gathered must be analyzed, whether they are numerical data, lyrical data, or what have you. They must be analyzed. And you analyze documents. Then you have the decision making, which will be by voting, the democratic approach, the multi-criteria decision making, which will be by democratic versus non-democratic approaches. Yeah? It could be a combination of democratic versus autocratic, or democratic versus the Delphi approach. Okay, then you have data representation, where you use affinity diagrams, mind mapping, to just ensure that what is being collected is well represented. When you have a design on paper, the stakeholder has given what he wants, and then the architect went and designs that on paper, brings out the mind of what he thinks the stakeholder is saying, bring his mind on paper, and then begin to let him know, this is exactly what I understood from what you said. Okay. Or you could use affinity diagrams that will open up the person to even think more and think better. Okay. Then we have the interpersonal and team skills also. We have the nominal group technique, the observations or conversations, and then you have facilitation. Then you have the context diagram, and you have the prototypes. Okay, you have the prototypes. On the output, we have the requirement documentation, and then we have the requirement traceability matrix. The requirement traceability matrix simply tries to ensure that what the project objective is delivering will meet up with the business objective. Remember, one of the trends in scope management is that project managers need to collaborate with business professionals to identify and determine business needs, so that the project will be able to deliver solutions to those business needs. So what the traceability matrix is doing is to ensure that the project will satisfy the business need, or the project will satisfy the customer's need. Okay, the project will satisfy the customer's needs. All right. The project's success project success is directly influenced by active stakeholders' involvement in the discovery and the composition of needs into project and product requirements, and by the care taken in determining, documenting, and managing the requirements of the product, service, or result of the project. Requirements include conditions or capabilities that are required to be present in the product, service, or result to satisfy an agreement or other formally imposed specifications. Requirements include the quantified and documented needs and expectations of the sponsor, customer, and other stakeholders. These requirements need to be elicited, analyzed, and recorded in enough detail to be included in the scope baseline and to be measured once project execution begins. Requirements become the foundation of the WBS. Cost, schedule, quality planning, and procurement are all based on these requirements. So you see, from the last statement made, it simply means that collecting requirements is critical to now defining what the WBS is. That's the breakdown of the activities, what they will be, what the cost, what the schedule, what the quality planning, what the procurement will all be based on. So if we don't collect the requirements right, we may end up having staggering projects, moving to and fro without having a headway. Now, after collecting requirements, you've had series of meetings with the stakeholders just to be sure that you understand what they need. Having understood what they need, the next thing is to define the scope, produce your scope statement so that you will be sure and there will be an agreement between the project manager and the project sponsor to say, okay, yes, this is exactly what we want to work on. Defining scope is the process of developing a detailed description of the project and product. The key benefit of this process is describe the product, service, or result boundaries and acceptance criteria. On the input, we have the project charter, we have the project management plan where we need the scope management plan. We have the project documents, where we have the assumptions log, requirements documentation, and risk register. Then we have the enterprise environmental factors, we have the organizational process assets. Now, under the tools and technique, we have the expert judgment. We have the data analysis, where you will need alternative analysis in analyzing the data. Then we'll have the decision-making where we will use the multi-criteria decision-making analysis approach. By multi-decision or multi-criteria decision is that we have different criteria we've created to decide whether this option is the best or not. Okay. In a voting approach, we could just pick one item and say we are voting on quality. If you want this quality, say aye. If you don't want this quality, say nay. We can vote on A or B. But when we have a multi-criteria decision-making approach, we have different components, and then we are deciding on them because, okay, we are looking at quality, we are looking at cost, we are looking at credibility of the people doing it, we are looking at the procedure, the strategy. So you have different criteria, okay, to make that decision. So we have the interpersonal and team skills, where we have facilitation, and then we have the product analysis. Why the project analysis is talking about more of the analysis of the processes involved, analysis of the activities involved to determine if they will give the product. The product analysis is, however, much more dependent on analyzing the expected features, the expected functions, the expected value solutions that the product will be bringing. Will it deliver the result that the business wants or that the customer wants? That's what the product analysis will be looking at. Okay. On the output, we have the project scope statement, we have the project documents updates, we have the assumptions log, requirements documentation, requirements traceability matrix, and risk register. Did I say risk register? Sorry, stakeholder register rather. Since all the requirements identified in collect requirement may not be included in the project, please listen. Since all the requirements identified in collect requirements may not be included in the project, the defined scope process selects the final project requirements from the requirement documentation developed during the collect requirements process. It then develops a detailed description of the project and product, service, or result. The preparation of a detailed project scope statement builds upon the major deliverables, assumptions, and constraints that are documented during project initiation. During project planning, the project scope is defined and described with greater specificity as more information about the project is known. Existing risks, assumptions, and constraints are analyzed for completeness and added or updated as necessary. The defined scope process can be highly iterative. In iterative lifecycle projects, a high-level vision will be developed for overall project, but the detailed scope is determined one iteration at a time, and the detailed planning for the next iteration is carried out as work progresses on the current project scope and deliverables. All right. Now, let's quickly look at a basic difference. The basic difference or differences between a charter and a scope statement. Because some of us might think a charter is a scope, or we misplaced the two. For a charter, in a charter, we have the project purpose. In a project scope statement, project scope description, which is progressively elaborated. So while the charter contains the project purpose, the project scope statement contains the project scope description. The project charter contains the measurable project objectives and related success criteria. While the project scope statement contains the project deliverables. The project charter contains the high-level requirements. The project scope statement contains the acceptance criteria. The project charter contains high-level project descriptions, boundaries, and key deliverables. The project scope statement has the project exclusions. Among other things that the project charter has is that the project charter has the overall project risk, summary milestone schedule, pre-approved financial resources, key stakeholder list, project approval requirements, project exit criteria, assigned project manager, responsibility authority level, name and authority of the project sponsor or other persons authorizing the project charter. So all of these are contained in the charter, and then all of these are contained in the scope statement. Okay. So as you get this study material, please take your time to go through and review. The next process is what we call the work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure is the process of subdividing project deliverables and project work into smaller, more manageable components. The key benefit of this process is that it provides a framework of what has to be delivered. This process is performed once or at predefined points in the project. Now, for the inputs, we have the project management plan, where we have the scope management plan, we have the project documents, where we have the project scope statements and the requirement documentation. Then we have the enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets. On the tools and techniques, we have the expert judgment, and then we have the composition. On the outputs, we have the scope baseline, we have the project documents updates, where we have assumptions log, and then we have the requirements documentation. Right. There is a software we are supposed to learn in this class, but we will not learn that software in this class. We'll learn it in the physical class. We'll learn it during the workshop. And that is the Microsoft Project Professional. So for those of us in project management, during our specialized workshop will be anchoring more on the use of project, what do you call it now? Microsoft Project Professional. So as you're coming for the workshop, please kindly come with your computer. The specialized workshop is mostly on the second day. So come with your computer. Don't forget, come with your laptop. They will install the software, or you can even, the software is already part of the things that are sent to you on your materials. So you can install, and then on that day, we all learn it together. Okay. We have the online versions of the class we'll send to you, but that particular day, we'll still learn it again so that we'll understand more of what this whole decomposition is all about. All right. The WBS is a hierarchical decomposition of the total scope of work to be carried out by the project team to accomplish the project deliverables and create the required deliverables. The WBS organizes and defines the total scope of the project and represents the work specified in the current approved project scope statement. The planned work is contained within the lowest levels of WBS components, which are called work packages. A work package can be used to group the activities where work is scheduled and estimated, monitored, and controlled. In the context of the WBS, work refers to work products or deliverables that are the result of activity and not to the activity itself. Please listen. In the context of the WBS, work refers to work products or deliverables that are the result of activity and not the activity itself. In the context of WBS, work refers to work products or deliverables, not to the activity itself. We have work, then we have work packages. The work packages here refers to the activities. Work refers to the product, expected product or deliverable. Work package refers to the activities that are being done. In the context of WBS, work refers to the product expected from an activity, not the activity itself. Work package refers to the activity that need to be done to give the work product. Is someone with me? Did you understand the difference between a work and a work package? A work in the context of WBS is the expected product from a certain work, not the work itself. Meanwhile, a work package is the activity, the task, the effort that is being done to ensure that the work product is delivered. Please, if you got the difference between these two, type 11. If you did not get the difference, type 00. Let me know. If you got the difference between the work and work package, okay. Work in the context of WBS, when we say work, we are looking at the deliverable, the expected deliverable, not the work as activity. But when we now say work package, the work package is the activity that is being done to deliver the work. Take, for instance, if we say using a WBS as a case study, and we say the work to be done, we want to do foundation. Foundation now. When we say work, to us, work is foundation. But the foundation is a deliverable in the context of WBS. But when we now say the work packages, we now talk about the activities involved in giving the foundation. So when we now talk about clearing of the ground, excavation, or perhaps clearing of the ground, mapping, excavations, laying of blocks, or perhaps casting, laying of blocks, and then the casting again to have the foundation. Those are the work packages. It is these work packages that will give us the work product, which we, in the context of WBS, are referring to just as work. Those things will give us the foundation. The activities that need to be done to give us the foundation, we refer to them as work packages. Meanwhile, in the context of WBS, foundation is just seen as work. So when we say foundation, WBS look at it as work, it calls it work. But what it means is the product that those work packages, if being done, will give you. Do you understand it? If you understood it, type 11. If you did not understand it, type 00. Maybe I'll find another thing to use to explain it. Foundation in the context of WBS is seen as work. The activities that are being done to give the foundation is regarded as work packages. Okay, let me see what somebody's typing there. This person is using functional English. Who is this person? Please rename. The name of the person is please rename. Please rename device. The difference, I believe, is work product as now and work activities as adjective. No, work product is a noun, yes, but work activities are the verbs, the do's that we need to carry on. The work activities are the verbs, the actions that we need to take. Okay. Please, who is this person that the name of your device is renamed device?
I have been asking that person to please rename for proper identity, and the person has not replied me. I even private chatted, send the name. If you don't know how to change it, I'll do it.
Kindly use your name to log in, please. The person that your device name is, kindly give yourself a good name and then come in. We will not admit you now till you change your name. Maybe it's the same person that have been answering user. From user, you now change it to.
Yes, I now changed. I've been sending private message, just like a maxed person entering an online meeting. It's not professional.
Leave him in the waiting room when he's tired.
Private message, general message, no response.
Okay, so do we have any? Is there anyone that is still confused between the two, work package and work product? Let me hear from Akintayo. Okay, Maruf said he has been sent to the waiting room. Okay, thank you. Okay, Akintayo said, can you use another analogy to explain? I mean, WBS and work. No, WBS is just work breakdown structure. When you have a schedule, schedule of work, a schedule of work can be seen as a WBS. When you have broken down your work down, a schedule of work or a scope of work can be seen as a WBS. But inside the WBS, we have other terms. We have things like WBS dictionary, then you have things like work, you have things like work package, and all of that. They have codes of accounts and all of those things. Now, I'm saying that in the WBS context, when we have a schedule or when we have a scope, and then we have the term work. The term work in WBS does not really refer to the activities that need to be done. Although we can see it like activity, but it does not really refer to it as an activity. It refers to it as the expected product for certain activities that when carried out will give you the product. Meanwhile, those activities that are carried out to give you the product, they are referred to as work packages, work packages, work packages. But what we are now referring to as work, in the layman's language, what we are referring to as work in WBS context is seen as product, work product. So let me see what someone is giving here. Agidetademi says, work product, banga soup. Work activities is the processes in making the banga soup, just as it is. Work product, banga soup. He said, what do you want to do? Banga soup. That's what some of us do. Say, what do you want to cook? Banga soup. So the banga soup is seen as work. Meanwhile, the banga soup on its own is not an activity. It's just the product that will be gotten after the processes or the activities involved in making banga soup had all been put together. I don't know whether that example that architect Ademi gave help. Okay. Ibrahim says, can we say work product is swearing in ceremony? Why work package is the campaign process and the election process? Yes, that's also another example. It's like this man is a politician. He always talk politics. Mr. Ibrahim, are you a politician? His examples are always campaign driven. 2023 or 2022 is coming. So Are you a campaign manager? Let's hear from you. But your example is correct. Swearing in ceremony is a product or work product. By the end of the day, what we want to see is a swearing in. But what is involved in the activities involved in the swearing in is that there are campaign processes, there are election processes, maybe there were meetings involved, what they call it now, manifesto presentations and all of that. All of those things took place before the total program now came into being. Okay, so someone answered and said politician do, yes. Okay, I think there's a clear understand now using banga soup. Okay, maybe that's your favorite soup. Ibrahim said not sure. He's not sure whether he's a politician. Okay. Okay, so please, if I can proceed, help me type 1-1 in the chat room. If there is any other issue of concern, please let me know so that we clarify it. Okay, thank you. Now, process number 5 involved in project scope management is validation of scope, validating scope. A validating scope, it is a process of formalizing acceptance of the completed project deliverables. The key benefit of this process is that it brings objectivity to the acceptance process and increases the probability of final product, service or result acceptance by validating each deliverable. This process is performed periodically through the project as needed. So for projects that are phased, it is important that each of the phase you validate before you move on. Okay, you validate the deliverable before you move on. Okay. For projects that are phased, for each of the phases you validate, move on, validate, move on, to avoid just to reduce the risk of rework. In the input, we have project management plan, where we have the scope management plan, requirements management plan, and the scope baseline. Then you have the project documents, where we have the lessons learned register, quality reports, requirement documentation, requirements traceability matrix, verified deliverables, and work performance data. On the tools and technique, we have inspection, decision making, where we use voting. On the output, we have accepted deliverables, work performance information, we have change request, and then we have the project documents update. On the project documents update, you have updates on the lesson learned register, requirements documentation, requirements traceability matrix. I want to be sure, is there anyone here that maybe you don't understand the requirements traceability matrix? I've explained that like twice or 3 times, but I'm beginning to feel like maybe someone has not understood it. Requirements traceability matrix. Is there anyone here that does not understand what requirement traceability matrix is all about? You don't understand it? Please kindly let me know. Kindly let me know so that we can be sure on it. Okay, if you understood what requirements traceability matrix is, can you please help us explain? Anyone who understands requirements traceability matrix, please kindly help us explain it, please. Requirements traceability matrix, help us please explain. Requirements traceability matrix. Okay, I'm seeing some information in the chat room and I'm seeing a hand up. Please kindly unmute, let's hear from you. Class governor, you can unmute.
Yes, truly, I just want to do a play on words. Traceability matrix, I believe it has to do with checking at each point, validating at each point to get to know if every requirement, tracing every deliverable, the output with the requirements to see if there is a match. So we are going to see when we trace each output from match each output with the requirement to see if there is anything that so if there is a requirement
Okay.
What does it put? What is the requirement or something like that? I believe that's just
Okay. Thank you.
being able to.
Okay. Thank you. Let's look at it. Let's look at it again. Thank God I asked a question.
And validate.
Thank you so much, Governor. We're able to get what we're trying to say. You know, last week I said this week we'll be dealing with scope management, but it seems as though we didn't find time to go through the tests, our study materials. So I'm going to go to the study material, and I want us to read it, and then we'll look at the example of a traceability matrix, what it's like. So let me quickly get the screen on. Okay, if you can see the screen on 5.2.3.2, please kindly type 11 in the chat room. If you can see the screen on 5.2. Let me make the screen bolder. Okay. So I'm sharing the screen from PowerPoint. Not PowerPoint, rather. I'm sharing the screen from PDF and from our study material. So from what we have here, I'm going to read it as it is. Then we'll look at the example. It said the requirement traceability matrix is a grid that links product requirement from their origin to the deliverables that satisfies them. The requirement traceability matrix is a grid that links product requirements from their origin to the deliverables that satisfy them. The implementation of a requirement traceability matrix helps ensure that each requirement adds business value by linking it to the business and project objectives. It provides a means to track requirements throughout the project lifecycle, helping to ensure that requirements approved in the requirements documentation are delivered at the end of the project. Finally, it provides a structure for managing changes to the product scope. Okay, so what is a requirements traceability matrix? Number one, and most importantly to us, is that it helps link project objectives to defined business objectives, just to ensure that each project objective is bringing business value. Each project objective is satisfying a need for the customer or for the stakeholder. That's where, or that's what the project traceability matrix is, requirement traceability matrix is trying to say. Just like the class governor said, linking each objective to a requirement and linking each of the project objectives to a perceived value and expected value in the business. So it creates the project relationship between project objectives and business objectives. So it's like a measure. That's why we say it's a grid. And the grid is between business objectives, the value the project objective is bringing to business objectives. Okay. Does this in any way make sense to anybody now? Do you understand it? Before I move on, do we understand this, what I just said now? Please, if you understood it, say yes. If you did not understand it, say no. If you understood it, yes. If you did not understand it, no. Understood it, yes. You did not understand it, no. Understood it, yes. Not understand it, no. Please, I'm expecting our responses. I've only gotten one response. If you understood it, say yes. If you did not understand it, just type no. One yes and one no. Okay, let's use a very simple illustration. Let's go back to when we started this class and we used an example of construction of 200 meters road, right? We used the example to explain outcome and output. So let's try to see if we can use the example to create a relevant case study for better understanding of requirements traceability matrix. So there is 200 kilometers road that need to be constructed, and to find out if we really need to construct this road, we really want to find out if we need to construct this road. And then we want to be sure that the money we are putting in, the requirements that we are putting in, is what constructing the road. So the requirements, let's assume the requirements say for the construction of 200 meters road, we need 15 million. And then the benefits, the value that is bringing is that, well, there will be reduced accident, or there will be elimination of accident, or let's say reduced accident. There will be increased economic value. The road will be able to serve for more than 50 years. Tax revenue will increase. Economic activities will increase, and all of those things mentioned. Now, business-wise, these are the benefits, right? But the requirements to fulfill that 200 kilometers road is 15 million. Requirements traceability is asking us, is this the benefit expected now, is it enough to invest the 15 million? It's a simple question. All right. We have the benefit, business value that is bringing, and then we have the expected requirement. We just quantified it financially using finance as just a primary factor, right? So we have 15 million investment to make, and the expected benefits are established. Now, the requirement is 15 million. The benefits are outlined. With the benefits, should we go ahead and put in the 15 million? With the value the 15 million will bring, is it enough for us to invest it? That is a simple case of requirements traceability matrix. Did you understand it now? Please, if you understood it now, kindly type 11. If you still did not understand it, type 00. If you understood it now, kindly type 11. If you did not understand it, type 00. So that we'll maybe find another thing. The requirement traceability matrix is just like make or buy, okay? Trade-off analysis. You're trying to make a decision versus what you are bringing, the requirements expected to carry on the project versus the economic value, the business value that investment will bring. Is it justifiable? Okay, that's the tracing. Can we trace the business value to the requirements expected? That's just what it's trying to say. Okay. Is there anyone that have not understood it? If you've not understood it, let me know so that we explain it better. Now, the tracing requirements includes, but not limited to. Now, what are you tracing? The business needs, opportunities, goals, and objectives. You're tracing it to the requirement. Is the requirement versus the business needs, opportunities, goals, and objectives. Is it worth it? The project objectives, project scope and WBS, product design, product development, test strategy and test scenarios, and high-level requirement to more detailed requirement. These are some of the things you do tracing on. Okay, you trace the requirement versus the expected value of the activity that is being traced. Now you have oh, gone far. 5.2. So please, when we get back today, let's take the time to read through these documents. Before this class is over, please make sure you complete this project management book of knowledge. Before this class is over, make sure you complete this project management book of knowledge. Okay, so this is an example of the table. So you have the project name, cost center, project description, as the case may be. Then you have the ID, the associate ID, that's the task, or perhaps you can say the phase, and then the tasks involved in it. The tasks involved will be this associate IDs, while the ID will be the phase. Now, requirements description, you write it there. Business needs, opportunities, goals or objectives that need to be achieved by that requirement, you write it down. Project objectives, you write it down. Expected deliverables, product design, the ones that actually pertain to that ID you're bringing in, you write it down. At the end of the day, all of this information is just to guide you. Is the requirement, is it enough? Is it more than? Is it justifiable or not? Okay. So these are some of the things with this, you can now make decision. With this requirement traceability matrix, you can make decision. Should I go ahead or should I not go ahead? Okay. All right. So please, I believe every one of us here have our study materials already given. So please make sure you go through it. Okay. Someone says he's hearing me. She's hearing me. Sorry, she's seeing screws, but she's not hearing me. Okay, so we'll upload this on YouTube. We did not go live on YouTube today, but we'll upload it immediately this class is over, so that if you're not there, if you couldn't hear us, you can get all of that on YouTube. Okay, I trust I can proceed. Now, the verified deliverables obtained from the control quality process are reviewed with customer or sponsor to ensure they are completed satisfactorily and have received formal acceptance of the deliverables by the customer or sponsor. In this process, the output obtained as a result of the planning processes in the project scope management knowledge area, such as the requirements, documentation, or the scope baseline, as well as the work performance data obtained from the execution processes in other knowledge areas, are the basis for performing the validation and for final acceptance. The validate scope process differs from the control quality process in that the former is primarily concerned with the acceptance of the deliverables, while the latter is primarily concerned with correctness of the deliverables and meeting the quality requirements specified for the deliverables. Control quality is generally performed before validating scope, although the two processes may be performed in parallel. Why the two may look alike, they are not alike, they are not the same. Okay. So why the control quality is more of ensuring that the quality requirements are met, the correctness of the product, quality standards are put in check. The validated scope is more of ensuring the process through which the scope will be accepted. Okay, very, very important. However, the two can be done in parallel. Now, finally, we have what we call the control scope. That's the last process in project scope management, controlling of the scope. In controlling scope, it is the process of monitoring the status of the project and product and managing changes to the scope baseline. The key benefit of this process is that the scope baseline is maintained throughout the project. This process is performed throughout the project. Now, quickly, let's look at the inputs. In the input, we have the project management plan, where we have the subsidiary plans expected as scope management plan, requirements management plan, change management plan, configuration management plan, scope baseline, performance measurement baseline, and then we have the other one, project document, where we have the lessons learned register, requirements documentation, requirements traceability matrix, and then we have number 3, work performance data, and then we have the organizational process assets. On the tools and techniques, we have the data analysis, where we have the variance analysis and trend analysis. Just as their name sounds, variance, variation, the difference between what was planned versus what is done. And then trend, the ongoing, what is currently happening, okay? The outputs, we have the work performance information, change requests, project management plan updates, where we'll be updating the scope management plan, scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline, performance measurement baseline. And then we'll have number 4, project documents update, updating lessons learned register, requirements documentation, requirements traceability matrix, okay? Controlling the project scope ensures all requested changes and recommended corrective or preventive actions are processed through the perform integrated change control process. Control scope is also used to manage the actual changes when they occur and is integrated with the other control processes. The uncontrolled expansion to product or project scope without adjustment to times, cost, and resources is referred to as scope creep. Please, if you need to underline that, kindly do so. The uncontrolled expansion to product or project scope without adjustment to time, cost, and resources is referred to as scope creep. Scope creep, and that could affect your budget. That could affect your schedule. In fact, a scope creep will end up terminating your project if care is not taken. Change is inevitable, therefore some type of change control processes is mandatory for every project. In conclusion, managing project scope effectively requires good understanding of the inputs, tools, and techniques involved in each of the processes. Also, understanding the relationship that exists among the processes will help in managing project activities effectively. All right, we have gone through the project scope management. Now, if there are questions for me, I will take the questions now. If there are no questions, we'll take our attendance and we'll go on break. Please, if there's any question for me, you can raise your hand, and then the class governor or provost will unmute you. If you have a question, if you have a contribution, your time is now. Thank you. Do I have any question? Any comments? Any contribution? If there are no questions, comment, or contribution, please, the attendance link will be shared now. Okay, Rose, can we kindly unmute Rose? Let's have a question.
Good morning. Please mind to be part of the audio keeps dropping in out. At a point in time, I can't just hear anything. I went on YouTube to look for you too. I couldn't get two people there. So today I'm not part of the class, but I can watch all the chats scrolling. So that's my problem today.
We are so sorry for that, Mrs. Rose. So sorry for that. Okay, like I said, I saw your chat. So what we'll do, we didn't go on YouTube today, but what we'll do is that as soon as this class is over, we'll upload everything on YouTube so that we can all have access to it. Meanwhile, I'm sharing the attendance form right now. So let's kindly take the attendance, okay? All right. Okay, so could that be all for now? So if that is all for now, we are going to take a long break. And we shall be returning by 1 p.m. Nigerian time or 12 noon Ghana time. For those of you that are just joining now, there is no need to take attendance. We leave attendance for those who have been in class. So when we come back in the afternoon, you take your attendance. For those of you just joining now, Mr. Bubu Kale, Mr. Okunuga, if we just came in now, we are going on break now. So we've been in class since 9 o'clock.
No, Abu Bukale has been in, but as user. Sorry, sir. Abu Bukale has been in. He was the user that I just readmitted and changed his name for him.
Who is that?
Mr. Abu Bukale.
Oh, he has been the user.
He's that same user, yes. So I just changed the name, I renamed. If you are giving me the name since, he wouldn't have that issue of being thrown out. But he's back in and I re-edited, renamed his device now.
Okay.
So I think he should have the attendance, sir.
Okay, so sorry. Okay, so Mr. Abu Bukale, you are the one that your device was bearing user. You're welcome. Okay, maybe Mr. Kunuga, your own name was the one that was bearing renamed device. Okay, but if you're just coming in, if you've not been in class, please kindly omit the attendance. You will take the attendance in the second lecture. If you've not made your presentation, please prepare for the second lecture, please. If you've not made your presentation, you'll be making that presentation after the second lecture. So Mr. Adeyemi or Architect Adeyemi Akintayo, Avemas, Ibrahim Yekini, Paul Giwa, Rosa Bena, please prepare for your presentation after the break. In fact, the break, I'm extending the break now to 1:30. 1:30 Nigerian time and 12:30 Ghana time. So if you've not eaten today, if you've not taken your bath, kindly go eat, take your bath, rest a little. For those of us that have not prepared our presentation or if not presented, please kindly take the time and prepare. By the time we return, we'll take the presentations. The next class we'll be having, everybody, listen, the next class we'll be having now is on project schedule management. Project schedule management, and after that we'll have project cost management. Project schedule management and project cost management. So everyone read it up before we come back. Project schedule management and project cost management. Those are the last two courses we'll be taking today. Project schedule and project cost. So let's read through them before we return. Is there anyone that has not taken attendance? Can I close the class now? Can I close the class now? We are returning 1:30 Nigerian time, 12:30 Ghana time. Can I log out? Can I close the class now? If I can, please type 11 in the chat room. Let me know. If I can't or I shouldn't, kindly type 00. Okay, so the 11 have it. So see you by 1:30. Please don't travel far. Don't go far. Make sure you stay around. Today is your class. Don't go and pick another appointment and tell me you did not come to class. I'll personally have to come to your house and we settle this course together. Mr. Paul Giwa, you've not taken attendance. Kindly take attendance now, please. Again, for those who have not presented, we have Adeyemi Ajayi Akintayo, Alvin Mas, Ibrahim Yekini, Paul Giwa, and Rose Abena. Those are the people who have not presented their project proposal. Please, let's prepare for the afternoon section. Thank you and do have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.